And it's funny, joining us back in studio now, as I was telling Roxy, it's been almost 20 years.
Long time.
Since you and I have been in the same room together.
Yeah.
2 decades.
It's been crazy. Sean Waltman, A.K.A.
2002, maybe?
2001. Yeah, 2001 was when I was there, and we were. I couldn't remember the damn where the hell we were, but I was telling the story.
Yeah.
It was me, you, and Regal, and it was a house show. And we were coming, and you guys, I just started working there. You guys were very kind. You're like, "Hey, what are you doing right now?" And I was like, "Nothing. Just gonna hang at the hotel. Like, come to the show with us." I'm like, "All right, cool." So I think you were driving. We were going wherever the hell we were going, and we were just driving. It was like probably an hour to where we were, and we pull up a joint, and you're just like,
It was you.
It was me. Yeah, yeah. You were trying to figure out the right way you smoked the joint with.
What do you mean it was you?
Well,
Did you think it was somebody else?
Do you know I got heat over that?
You know what's funny about this? So I did too. So this is what happened. So I definitely want to hear his side of the story.
20 years
Oh
later.
yeah, no, this is a good story actually.
Okay, I want to hear it. So you're driving. You say to me, you go, you're like, "Hey, do you smoke?" I was like, "Yeah, I'll, for sure." And you're like, "I knew you were cool." So you hand it back to me, stoned out of my face. I wasn't working.
You were in the back seat.
I was in the back seat.
Yeah.
That's right. And
Thank you, Ryan.
Thank you.
yeah, thanks, brother. So then we get to the thing. You're doing your thing, and I walk in. I don't remember who the referee was, but whoever it was, I walk in, and I'm blitzed. I couldn't even talk, right? And he says something to me, and I he's
We
like,
were in California, right?
I think we were.
Absolutely.
I think we were. It's like San Jose or something,
San
right?
Jose,
Yeah, that's
exactly.
right. That's exactly right. So
How do you both remember this?
because it was like after a big pay-per-view, or it was right after SummerSlam. It was right after SummerSlam, and we were traveling. So we get there, and then Stephanie called me in the next day, and she's like, "Look, you're here to write. You can't be friends with the wrestlers." And she's like, I guess she didn't really insinuate that I was stoned, but I think the referee ratted me out. How did you get hit for that?
Well, because it was just a thing to. So, anyways, I'm not sure what the whole point was, except for maybe just to put me in my place, because every now and again I would get a little bit.
But how did they know that I got stoned with you? Did the referee probably tell them too? Yeah.
Steph said you stooged me off.
What
Steph
happened?
said you stooged me off, Christian.
100% not. That's she said.
Well, here's the thing.
Bullshit.
It shouldn't have mattered.
Yeah.
It shouldn't have mattered. They knew. I was a huge pothead.
Yeah.
Okay, and it was just a thing. It's not a big deal.
Yeah, but it's bullshit.
Okay.
I can tell you, that's not me. That's bullshit.
So,
yeah.
So
wow.
I was like, I was made to feel like a piece of shit because, Regal was kind of in like recovery. But he's fine. Like he wasn't. Like he didn't give a fuck about pot. It wasn't his thing.
Right.
And so,
no, he didn't. He wasn't. It was just me and you.
Yeah, but no, they brought Regal in. They brought me in. It was Steph. It was JR. And it wasn't really a big deal.
Get out of here.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm sorry that went down like that.
Don't worry.
Yeah.
Wait, but there were only 3 of you guys in the car.
And
it was I'm telling you, when I showed up, that whoever that referee was, that's the guy. I'm telling you right now, that's the guy.
Oh, yeah, they knew.
Yeah.
Yeah, they knew you got out of the car with me.
Because I got talked to about it. Like, to where, too. Then that's
so
crazy.
Anyways, JR and their stuff, and like, it's not very nice. Like, I don't want to like.
Yeah.
I don't want to try to paraphrase, but it was like, that's not very cool for you to like, expose William Regal to all this pot when he don't give.
This used to be a fun story for me. Now it sucks.
No, it's fun. I just was like,
later,
I couldn't believe Steph, and they were raking me over the coals. Like, it's like they knew I was a pothead. Steph, like,
right. Yeah, because
that time when when we did the Run DMC, I didn't mean to make you feel bad about this.
No, I do. But I do. I
don't.
Do. You know what? I feel bad about it because it was also because that's not me. Like I was excited to first of all hang out with you guys. So we went to a diner afterwards and hung out too.
No, it was a nice drive.
Yeah, man. And then I got called in. I got called in for a couple different things while I was there, but that was one of them. And I was like, oh, okay. And then the fact that they said I pinched, I can tell you right now.
Don't worry, it was easy for them to say that.
Horse piss.
It's easy because you're not there anymore.
Right.
And,
yeah. That's fair.
So, no, but I was like, Steph, and I pulled her aside afterwards. I'm like, fuck, like, that hurt. Like, that he pulled me, like, and did that to me in front of Regal. And, like, You know, make me
Right,
feel like
right,
a piece
right.
of shit. I'm like, Steph, like,
Oh, my God.
we did this video shoot for when Run DMC did a remake of our DX
Yeah,
song.
definitely, yeah.
And we were like at Scores and everything, and like Road Dogg and I even had, and like Steph's right there, everyone's there.
Right.
We even had him pull the fucking limo over so we could step outside and smoke a joint.
Right.
I'm like,
but
what
it's
the fuck?
You know what's funny about that, though? Isn't that the transition of, if you look at it, between, like, let's say, obviously the classic days back in the 80s, but then what you guys
Yeah.
were part of with the Attitude Era and all that, and then they went to, like, this, maybe that was, like, the transition of where they were going through this kind of PG thing that they're in now, right?
It was, honestly, it was just because every now and again I would act like a brat. I was a
Yeah.
spoiled fucking brat around there. You know, I had a little bit of clout,
Right.
and you know, occasionally I would use it, and not always for, you know, it was sometimes a dick.
Right. You're younger.
So it's just a
so
way to put me in my place.
Yeah, I
That's
get it.
all.
Okay, but
that's
yeah.
all. And I was gonna apologize to you because I saw because at first, then I thought I might have been mistaken because do you know who Tommy Blocka is? He works with Will Sasso.
No.
He wrote around
Okay.
that time too, and I was like, well, maybe it was him. So I couldn't remember.
But it was
who
definitely because of that San Jose
It was
drop.
definitely
It was
that
one.
San
Well, that's
Jose.
me. That's
Yes.
that's definitely
But
me.
I believe you
Yeah.
didn't stooge me off, Christian.
That's 100%. You know me. I'm definitely
Well,
not.
you
I'm
have
not a
to,
rat.
dude.
Didn't.
You
Why
get
would
out-
you do that?
Yeah,
You get out of a car
No.
with me,
Yeah.
and everyone knows.
And everyone knows it. Yeah, that was the main thing. Because I just remember us going, because it was such a cool. It was just, you know, for me, because so my story was, and I've told it a billion times, but just so you know, is that I was a big wrestling guy. That was my thing. And when I moved from Florida, from New York, but I moved to Florida, then went to L.A. Drove to WrestleMania 17. Saw Paul Heyman out there, and I
17 Houston.
Yeah, it was in Houston.
Yeah.
And I drove there, and I went up to Paul, and I basically said to him, look, everybody asks you how to become a wrestler. How do you become a writer? And he goes, write a letter. So I wrote the letter. And I wrote a bunch. And I got Stephanie's email, I got everybody's, and I just wrote it. They flew me out, and I got the gig. But I was 22. So when I get there, the first person I see when I walk in at 22, and this is 2001, is Stone Cold. So I'm marking out. I'm like, oh shit. You know, that's Stone Cold, but I realized you got to separate. I don't have what I have now, to where you got to. That's you're working. That's the guy. So when fucking X-Pac and Regal say, hey, you want to go do this? You want to smoke a joint? Fuck yeah, I want to smoke a joint with X-Pac. That's a great story. And the last thing that 22-year-old kid is going to do is go, hey, Stephanie, I smoked a joint with X-Pac.
I'm sorry I was a bad influence on you, and if I
was already
had
smoking
anything to
pot,
do,
dude. It wasn't you.
That's fine. But you might not have been smoking any on the way to the building.
That's
if it wasn't for me.
But I wasn't working, though.
Okay.
I also wasn't working that day.
Oh, okay.
So you know what I mean? I was there.
So that was the early days of like the writing team era of WWE.
Yeah, because everyone's talking. And I was going to bring this up to you because, you know, there's these interviews going around with Moxley and whether it was on Jericho or
I heard you guys talking about it, by the way. Like I even hit Rocks up. I was like,
I didn't say that you did that though. I don't know what you want to be said or not about the interview.
Well, my thought process was because that was the time, right? Because they would fly in guys like myself, the LA writers, and I realized quick they recycle them in and out because they want to get certain ideas. But it's the core group, you know. It was Bruce and all this, and like Michael P.S. Hayes, and those are the guys. That's who they're going to listen to because that's the family, that's the team, and they bring in guys like me and. What do you got? Okay, great. Now we're bringing the next one, and they've continued to do that all the way through because Koski's still there, which is crazy. Koski was there when I was there. I didn't realize that until I heard Moxley's interview about it. But do you? I mean, because I know you still do a lot with them. So as far as the team, like, what do you think about the response to Moxley's fact that there's too much with the writing, there's too much with producing, and that guys like because when I was there, they would do a mixture of that. It would be like, all right, Sean, you're going to go out there. We need you to hit these points, but do what you do also, and kind of go off.
I mean, I hear different things, Christian, because you know I was on my show. So, anyways, I was down in for the last 2 weeks. I was just down in Orlando at the Performance Center, teaching NXT people.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I still had my show to do. So I had Road Dogg just come in. You know, we went to the voiceover room and Skyped in.
That's awesome. Yeah.
But, you know, so, like, I can only ask because as much as I might like to think that I know what's going on there on a day-to-day basis, you know, with that kind of thing.
Right.
You know, different people have different experiences there. You know, some people, they're told, hey, stick to the script.
Right.
You know, and then there are people that there's some trust there, you know, as far as, you know, they can go out there and carry a a promo on there, and
Yeah.
they're good at that. And I think, so I hear some people say, oh, no, they're giving a bit of freedom, and then others say they're not.
It just depends on, I guess, the level of talent also, too, which would make sense. It's just because, with, and you were involved a lot back in the day. That's all good. That's all good. You were involved back in the day with the, with WCW and the whole war and everything that was going on back then. And people obviously right now bringing up whether it's AEW, because even when TNA was coming out, people go, oh, TNA is going to be the thing, right? Is AEW, do you think, is AEW, that's the way that I look at it, I look at it very similar to if you're a wrestling fan, there's Marvel, there's DC, and you shouldn't be on either side. It's you're a wrestling fan, you want both to flourish, right?
Yeah.
So is that kind of where you guys are on that mindset too? You're rooting for those guys as well because it's competition.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the talent are all rooting for that to succeed.
Right.
I think it's safe to say that.
Yeah.
I don't think I would get any heat for saying such a thing.
Okay, it makes sense. It makes sense.
Whatever.
Yeah. At this point, I get it.
Yeah.
Christian's still getting you in trouble 20 years later.
I know, right? That's true.
The thing is, I wasn't really in trouble.
Right.
That was the whole fucked up thing about that.
Right.
It was it was never going to be in trouble over that.
So when did you and Hunter? Because you and Hunter have been friends for such a long time. And did you guys become friends during that whole? Because the big story for those of you who don't know obviously a lot of people your big break is when you as a 1-2-3 kid you beat Razor Ramon in that exciting match. You're like, who is this kid? Right? And he does it, and that kind of takes you off. Is that at that point were you already friends with Hunter? Or is it, no, you weren't.
No, he came in, and I didn't know him until he was hired, and he came in, and so as far as the clique goes, he's the only one that's closer to me in age. He's still a couple of years older than me, but
right, because he was Kevin Nash and Sean, and which is you still keep up with all those guys, right?
Oh, for sure, all the time. Yeah, fuck yeah, we do.
You're really good.
Oh,
buddies.
yeah.
You would say they're your best friends. Still?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And Road Dogg's in there on that too. But anyway, what the fuck was I saying?
No, we were just talking about Triple H and how you met and you came
so,
in.
And also, I had a lot of his first matches with him there. Like his first match ever at the Garden was with me.
Oh, that's cool. That's a cool moment. Yeah,
and it was a hell of a match too.
Man. Yeah, well, and that was cool. So you guys, you guys have so many special memories and everything too. And even the anniversary to see you guys all kind of back together, and you do that often. But the other thing,
and he's been a great friend to me. Not to step on what you're saying, but throughout the years after I was gone and wandering around in the darkness for a fucking decade, he was still there for me.
Yeah,
as much as he could be.
Well, that was the thing. So Batista was on with Satin the other day, and they were talking about the whole James Gunn situation, right?
Yeah.
And he asked him about. He's like, and Ryan had said to him, "You were there for him." Defended him on Twitter this whole time. He said, "Well, that's what friends do."
Yeah.
He's like, "You got to be up there for your friends." And I think it's very similar to where, because I've never, in all of your interviews and everything you said, not once have you said, "Well, Triple H turned his back on me." Never. He was always there for you.
What do you mean as much as he could be, though?
He's, with this position.
Yeah.
And also when I say as much as he could be is if, I'll just say there was one time I reached out for help and I was given it and then I shit all over it because I reached out for help that I wasn't ready to take, and, I was, he came out here and flew me to Atlanta and him and Vince spent money, $30,000 putting me to rehab that I got kicked out of in a fucking month.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. So,
you have to deal with your own demons.
Yeah.
You have to deal with them. And
And so you're saying then the next time you reached out, they were like, no.
No. The next time I didn't reach out, like somebody else did, because that was the deal where I hung myself down in Mexico. Yeah. And we've talked about that before.
And somebody
so
reached out to
they
him.
were there for me then too.
Right.
There was the first time I was talking about, there was no wellness policy. So that came out of Hunter and Vince's pocket, right?
Wow.
I'm gonna feel sorry for it coming out of Vince's pocket, but at the time that was still a fuck ton of money for Hunter to just
Well, but that's one of the things that I think, because a lot of times, and we've talked about it on this show too, a lot of times I think Vince and WWE does get a lot of shit for some of the shit that happened back in the day with a lot of the wrestlers, and some of the stuff I think that should be commended, because Triple H is one of the boys, so he wanted to take care of him, because if you look like, and DDP obviously is a guy that should be looked upon as well too, because watching what happened with Jake and with Razor and then with yourself, it's people should. I think those stories should be focused on more too. Because how long? So if you don't mind, how did you get yourself out of that hole?
It was not a crawled up out of it overnight. That's for sure.
Yeah, it took a while, right?
Yeah, because I went through stages, like, some people, like, they go, okay, I'm sober this long, I'm clean this long, and, like, yeah, but not everyone gets off of everything all at once.
Right. Right.
So, I mean, when at one time you never knew if I was going to go off on a fucking, month-long meth binge.
Yeah.
So when I'm no longer doing that, you're just grateful that I'm only taking pills.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. And so, but you were able, but eventually, because the reason I also asked that, my brother was pretty heavily into pills and stuff too for a long time, and it fucks you up and your whole body, and like you said, it's like, oh, you don't want.
Yeah.
You're just glad he's not doing that now. You're glad he's doing, and then you finally get to a place where you're like, okay, well, he's more the person. Like you became Sean again, because you're in that fog.
Slowly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it took a while.
Yeah.
And so for a while there, I was doing okay and doing fine. A lot better than, people were just happy, like they weren't worried about me dying.
Right. Yeah, you're starting to become you
imminently.
Again. Yeah, well, right.
Yeah. So and then China died.
Right.
And so I came out here for her memorial.
Yeah.
And I'd already met Kevin Undergaro and Maria. I knew Maria a little bit and Menounos.
Yeah, of course.
And so when I got out here, I hit Kevin up because he had approached me and said, "Hey, you should be doing this," and Kevin's always trying to help people, and so I fucking took him up on it, and I moved out here. And I stayed in one of their houses for, I don't know, it was like over a year, and and they sent me to their hypnotherapist.
Oh shit.
All kinds of and that was a huge breakthrough for me.
Yeah.
Huge. And just being surrounded with all these people, like Roxy.
Yeah.
Like Roxy's one of these people.
Sean.
So that was huge.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
you felt again, just to keep kind of hitting it over there. You felt like you were you again, and you kind of came back.
I felt like, actually, it's actually more than. I felt like me again. I felt like this person. I didn't even.
A better version.
Yeah. Like the best version ever.
Yeah. So at what point then? Because you said the Triple H and those guys were always there for you.
Yes.
But at what point do they go from, okay, he's getting better, to like, come back and now we want you working for us now?
Exactly.
How do you get there?
It's still, it's still taking time for that, and I get it. I get it, right? Like the shit that I've done, like or that I've been through, and like choices, fucked up choices I made. So like sometimes we're always going to be sweeping up after ourselves, right? And that's fine. But they, I don't sweep. I don't have to sweep up nearly as much as I used to.
Anymore.
Right?
Well, do you use that though as like for when you're working with a new talent like NXT? Yeah. Absolutely. It's kind of a motivational thing to let them know, like, because there's the positive things to this business.
Yes.
There's a way that if you don't go the right path, you can go that way. Look at what I did.
Yes.
Don't do that, and that's that type of stuff.
Yeah, but without being a hypocrite,
Yeah.
and also realizing that some of these mistakes, these guys and ladies are going to have to make on their own.
Right.
And just try to be there for them, once they do.
Right.
Right.
You were talking about getting out of the darkness, and I think something interesting you've told me before, Sean, is that the program didn't necessarily work for you. That wasn't something that really helped you in the long run. What do you say
mean
to
the
people?
12-step program?
Yeah, the 12-step program.
It's just there are things about that program that did help me a lot.
Yeah.
But there are also things about it, and some people in that community have gotten up to speed and with the times, right? Like I guess for the opioid crisis going on, and people can die the first fucking time they try something like that, right? Yeah. But there are medications for that, and I used one of them for 3 years to come off of opiates. I was a hardcore opiate user. I was hardcore at every fucking drug I did. So I was on Suboxone for 3 years and weaned myself off of that. And that is a lifesaver. And, you know, when you have people in 12-step community saying you're not doing it right, you're not really sober, you're not clean because you're taking a medication. You know, that you're all fucked up on walking around on Suboxone.
Right.
But, you know, some people see it as, I don't know, cheating or whatever. I'm just like worried about like not what that person in AA thinks. I'm worried about how my fucking life is.
Yeah. Right.
You know, I'm going and I'm having a quality of life and I'm stable, and I'm talking about them.
Yeah.
Because I got off of that. I've been off of all that for years.
Are you all clean
Pot.
right now? You just pot. Yeah.
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 But what do
I'm
you?
what they call California sober. I've heard that expression
It
recently.
works.
I love
It works
that.
for me.
Yeah.
So afterwards, the two of us will get in the car. You can drive. I'll sit in the back, but I won't.
He's learned his lesson. What do you tell people though? Because I'm sure that you have tons of DMs or people coming up to you
Yeah.
asking how do they do it.
Yeah.
They look to you for
Yeah.
advice because your method has been very different and maybe even unconventional. How do you advise people when they come to you and they say they're trying to get clean or change their life around?
Wow. I don't know. That's a tough question. It depends on the person and their situation, Rox. I mean, because people do hit me up quite a bit, and sometimes you just feel like you just get that feeling. Okay, this person. Not that they all don't need you, but like okay, you just get this vibe that okay, this person can really just use a few kind words, and sometimes it's just letting them know you fucking. You know,
See them?
yeah,
Yeah.
you there?
Yeah.
Hey, I'm here. I see you. Like I hear you. There's hope.
Right.
Sometimes just fucking tell them because like I don't know too many people, and I've not heard like a lot of people's stories to where they were as bad off as I was. Like fucking a lot of people thought I was hopeless.
Yeah.
I mean, fucked up, and now here I am.
Right.
You know, so like there's hope for everyone. Like the person that you go, oh fuck, there's no hope for that guy. There's hope for him. Trust me.
It's just about, like I said, it's just a matter of how do you find the right path. It's just a matter of because like
Stay in
like
the
you said,
course
right.
and not giving up.
Right.
You know, and trying new things. And if AA doesn't work, try fucking hypnotherapy. I don't know. Like try
everything.
Yeah.
Yes, anything and everything.
And it is one of-
try, there's different things. Like, it wasn't my way of doing it, but like Chris Bell has, he had Bigger, Stronger, Faster,
Yeah,
the
of course,
documentary, and he
absolutely.
also did one called Leaf of Faith about kratom.
Okay.
And that's like this, anyways, it's a leaf.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Different
it's been
strokes for
demonized.
different folks.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it works for them. And it's
Yeah.
like, you know what? As fucked up as everything is now, like whatever works for you.
Right.
All right? We don't have time for this, oh, you're not doing it right bullshit anymore. People are fucking dying.
Yeah.
Every time you turn around, someone's dying.
But have you also throughout this whole kind of process too, like hitting the gym and stuff too, and exercise that keeps your mind a little more straight? Yeah.
Because the best antidepressants are a good diet and exercise,
Yeah.
and they're the most underutilized of anything out there for people.
Yeah, did
going
you
through shit.
when you were in the dark stages? Were you kind of going away from that a lot, and not hitting the gym and kind of staying away from the gym as much?
I did it as a necessity to at least like half-ass look the part.
Yeah.
when
Yeah.
I was going and doing matches.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, because I say that because you look great, man. I mean,
I
you
feel
look
good,
yeah,
thanks.
you look great. So it's
I put on a little weight after WrestleMania because I was like, fuck, I'm started eating
whatever.
carbs.
I've never seen you eat a carb.
Oh fuck. It's been around me in the last couple of months. Holy shit.
Well, let's move on. First of all, I couldn't thank you enough for being so honest and open too, because I think that is a big help for a lot of people out there too to hear it. But I want to talk a little bit more about the business in general too, because it's one, and not to harp again on just like Ambrose or Moxley too with that particular.
But that's
thing.
what's going on right now.
That's what's going on right now. So, like, the one thing that I always wondered about, and Roxy's brought it up on this show, is because his wife is, with Renee being there too. Everybody's worried that she's going to get pushback from it, and I can't imagine that that's going to be the case because it's like it's not her. She's not saying these things.
I don't see that happening.
Right.
But like I do, like I can see there being like some awkwardness or weirdness.
Yeah.
maybe.
Right, because you still got it. Because you can go home and have a conversation with your husband and say, hey, what's going on? But it's like, because a lot of people, and I think yourself included too, have left the company, been on interviews, talked about stuff too. What I've noticed is Vince seems to be very forgiving down the line. People don't realize it. He let Bischoff in. Bischoff was in, was number one competitor. Like, people come back. Like, you got to assume that
he brought back someone that threatened to kill his family.
Oh, really? I remember he brought back the Warrior. I remember he brought back the Warrior. Like, I remember.
You can't say who, Sean.
Nah, he's dead. The person's dead, anyways. That doesn't matter. But I've just given you an example. If he can make some money with somebody, he's like,
He does. I remember being on a plane and with everybody, and Warrior was getting heat from every single person on that plane that they just didn't like the dude. And years later, comes back. Bret Hart comes back. And if one person you thought was never going to come back was Bret Hart, right?
Well, that was because I never thought Bret would do it.
That's what I mean. Yeah. And then even the fact Bret spit in his face in front of all this, but it just shows that he will let people back. I think eventually down the line, people, Moxley, or he'll never come back. I don't know if you can say that.
Yeah, I wouldn't. Yeah, don't ever say something like that.
Yeah, because I don't think it's a possibility. But what do you think about as far as the overall talent that's going on in WWE right now? Because for me, I still think like the ladies are putting on a hell of a show right now, man. There's so much good talent. Are there people that you have your eye on in NXT that you think are going to pop? They're going to be like the next big thing.
Yeah.
Can you tell us who you think is going to be the next big thing?
Oh shit.
What are we grabbing?
I want to see.
It's just some shit, actually, some paperwork I had.
I love it. Yeah, I want to know. Yeah, this is awesome.
It's very studious of you, Sean.
I know,
Professor Sean in the house.
I like Professor.
It just happened to be in my bag.
Yeah, because NXT is getting so much love,
I'm a fucking slob, and I don't clean my bags out.
Yeah.
Hey, honestly, I think that I think on the women's side, like, Bianca Belair.
Bianca Belair?
Yeah.
Okay.
How come?
She has all the tools.
Yeah.
All the fucking tools. And just needs experience. All the Shayna Baszler, she's my favorite of all the women.
Yeah.
All of them. Fuck.
All right,
Matt Riddle's the man.
Matt Riddle, yeah, of course.
Like, to me, he's a prodigy. I Riddle and the guy they call Damian Priest now, who's Punishment Martinez. I trained with those guys. I wouldn't train with them at the Monster Factory a little bit when they first started.
Yeah.
What do you do, Sean, when you're training with them? What is it? You're teaching them moves? You're teaching them mental? You're teaching them...
Like, I did train with them, like, got them out a little bit and get in the ring, but...
It's more about your experience, right?
It's like, okay, so you should do this here and then do this there, and, like, you already know how to do the move, so this is what you do in between the moves.
Yeah.
And, this is how you make the people feel certain things, and
because that type of thing never changes really.
Right.
But what do you think from like when you in the heyday, like during the Attitude Era to like now, like what's the differences as far as kind of how people should be used to it? Because it's more like not organized, it's organized, but it's more like the machine is very different these days. And when I was there and when back in the heyday, so what do you think the differences are between your time and now?
Oh, it's just the machine is just so much bigger, and it's just easy to get lost in that. And the writing team, there's like that whole thing, man.
Yeah.
Like the writing team and like just how things are done, and like the process is just so much different, man.
Right, it's true.
And like for me to come in here and say this is how it is, and that would be kind of bullshit of me. I do know what a lot of what's going on around there, but
where do you think it will be, or what do you think it will look like in 5 years, 10 years from now? Completely different, or
I think it's going to be like things are going to change a little bit around there. I think things do. I think they kind of always do.
Yeah.
Like there's some things that can be done better, and I think eventually they will be. The NXT talent, and that is still technically the developmental system, but that could be a standalone brand.
It really is already because so my story of it was that I, like I said, I was a big fan. When I stopped, when I let go, I stopped watching. I was like, it was one of those things. I was hurt by it, but I also think that it was part of it to where I saw the way that everything was being made, and I was like, it was like being a fan of hamburgers and you're being inside the factory. I'm like, I don't know. But when we started this thing, by the way, thank you again. Thanks you in person for being part of one of our movie trivia Schmodown angles, which was awesome. It was a lot of fun with Team Action. And we started that thing, and I was like, I got to get back into it and kind of watch again and catch up with the shit that I used to love. And I joined the network in 2016. I think the WWE Network's one of the smartest things that was ever. You can access everything and all that. And just watching and maneuvering this, I did the same thing you did. I kind of forgot where I was going at the beginning of it, too, to where we...
Dude, I do that.
Do it all the time. I just
half a dozen times a day.
I just did it. I had a point that I was making, too.
Well, you were talking about NXT developmental.
Thank you. So NXT... that was one of the things everyone said, you got to watch NXT because it was like 2015 was when it really kind of started around that area. So I was still before my time. So I go back in there and I'm watching it. And what they're doing there, it felt to me, that was the old school kind of wrestling part of it that I feel is missing today in the big show because the machine's so big, right? And people are responding to it because I feel like the championships matter more. I feel like there's a ranking system. I feel like there's a little bit more of that I...
The simplicity and storytelling.
Man. That's what I loved kind of... And so it's got to be pretty exciting to work in.
You don't need a nuclear physicist to figure out what the fuck's going on storyline-wise.
Right. And that, to me, that's kind of what I liked. And I think that the championships matter because that's... And I know it's different because of, you want the talent to be fighting all the time too, but I loved like when Savage was champion from like WrestleMania 4 to WrestleMania 5 and those long runs, it gave the titles more feeling. And I think that NXT does that a little bit more. Do you think that's...
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. And that's Triple H, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So is there a time, and again, I don't want to...
And it's great because, okay, so the thing about NXT is you have not only you got, I mean, just, okay, like anyone that's not, maybe gobbled up by, New Japan or AEW or whatever, like the cream of the crop in the wrestling industry is in that roster, NXT roster. And you have some amazing, like just incredibly wise people there that are mentoring them.
Yeah.
From Terry Taylor, and people can say, they can make Red Rooster jokes or whatever the fuck they want to do, but those of us in wrestling that have worked with Terry, like Hunter, myself, we both know because we learned a fuckload from Terry Taylor.
Right. He's got a respect from the locker room. That's all you need. Yeah.
Yes, and then you have Shawn Michaels, who has a special, like, it's like, it's almost like a secret. You don't know what the fuck is being said in there, right? In his class, and like that's all the cream of the crop. The
when did he
top
come
guys
back though? Because maybe he wanted to just kind of go off and do his own thing for a while, right?
Yeah, and he did it, and now he missed it. He missed all this and being around all this, and I don't want to speak for him, but he's told me how satisfying this is for him, and I get it because I've gotten some of that. We get that fix, right? That right in the vein, drug, like it's like a drug for us to go out there. And there's really not a lot. We don't think there's anything that could compare, but Sean said this, and I agree because I felt it a little bit. Like being the person that helps like put those matches together, like the Adam Cole versus, Gargano, or the Riddle versus, Roderick Strong that opened it up, that, or just fucking next level out of this world matches.
Right.
Being a part of those, you get that vicarious fucking fix, right?
Yeah.
It's amazing.
So do you think, is it kind of like a little bittersweet though too? Because if you put on big matches like that, right, too, and there's obviously so super satisfying, and guys like Riddle when they pop, but when they go over to the WWE and you lose guys like that, is it just like it's kind of kicking in the balls for a second?
And then when you see how they get handled, once they get up there, and it's just like, oh fuck.
Yeah, is that part of? Is there a writing team in NXT, or just? But I mean, like a full, but like a full as big of a writing team. Okay, cool.
I don't know how big. Like I've been in the writing rooms at NXT, but I've not been in a in a SmackDown or a Raw writing room.
It was crazy, man. When I was there, I mean, I was even again like 19 years ago. It was I remember how it was done. It was that here are the people you got to write for. You got to do this. This is a storyline. Hit them on, bring it to Vince, and then Vince would go through it. Take that out. Put that in. That's good. take it over there, and then he could change it 5 seconds beforehand if he wanted to. So, and that was when it was really first started. I couldn't even imagine now, 19 years later, what it's like. But I think in NXT, you probably had a lot more breathing room because Hunter's kind of doing his thing and knows that it's more about the kind of the wrestling.
And just his team around him, Joe Belcastro, and everyone else there, like that just kind of comes together and makes that happen.
Right.
I see Sean sitting in and adding his 2 cents to all that, and just everyone.
Yeah.
It's like, like what I was getting at with the Terry Taylors, the Sean, Road Dogg is there now.
Right.
Like all the incredible talent out there and like the independent scene and all that, like they've gotten really good.
Yeah.
And great, like on their own, figuring out things on their own, right? Like trying to figure out like psychology and all that, and they've done an amazing job, but like without having like these 30-year veterans like in the ring with them,
right,
passing on the knowledge. Oh fuck! I just had a brain fart.
Well, as far as like you said, these kids who are kind of learning their own thing, watching it through, but they still have people talking like yourself because that'll help.
Yeah,
but
not like you do in NXT when you have one of the greatest, arguably the greatest that's ever fucking done it.
Right.
Passing on this knowledge to talent that's already like right up there, best in the world talent, and then they're getting the Shawn Michaels level fucking wisdom dropped on them.
Right.
And that's why you're seeing these NXT shows that are just fucking mind-blowing.
Right. That makes a lot of sense because that's what people are saying. Now, the question is, because it's got so much love behind it, is there more, do you think, that will be – because, like, again, AEW has this – right now it's got this thing.
Sure.
People are looking forward to it and maybe thinking that this could be a different alternative to what it used to be, right?
Yeah.
If the AEW blows up the way people think that it could once the TV deal comes, do you think WWE might do a shift in the way that they do things, or will they give NXT more of a push? Do you have any idea what you think might happen?
That's how I would do it.
Yeah,
that would be my answer to AEW. Would be, well, here's
throw some more money in NXT.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And because that's they're essentially doing, because AEW looks like they're doing what NXT is doing.
And maybe take some of like the talent that really goes out there and fucking crushes it in the ring, and maybe take a couple of them and from Raw or SmackDown and move them to NXT.
Right.
And just mix some of that, fucking.
Yeah, well, the whole game's going to change once this Fox deal happens too, because there's going to be what's going to happen with, and you get Fox, and you got AEW. It's an exciting time to be wrestling.
It's amazing.
It's an exciting time because I think, like you said, I couldn't agree with you more. I think that put enough money into it, get NXT more exposure than just the network. Yeah. Find a way to get, because that's going to be the answer to AEW. Because if they switch up the whole machine with the WWE, with SmackDown and Raw, it's going to look like an immediate answer, as opposed to say we're already doing that on NXT.
That's right.
Yeah.
Sean, I can't stop staring at your ring.
Oh, yeah.
Because it just looks so freaking awesome on your head.
I don't know what you're talking about.
This is a weird question, but do you feel different walking around wearing that? Like, are you always aware that it's there?
I'm always 24/7.
Yeah, we're talking
every
about
second of the day.
We're talking about the Hall of Fame ring here, because DX was that's amazing. It was a really cool moment for you, man. I'm excited that was able to happen. Tell me a little bit about that. Like, so when you get the phone call that DX is going in, like,
well, I was just like, caught me off guard because I was already kind of going over a few things with them. Hey, I need you to re-sign your Legends deal. Just so happens, like, because, the way the climate, like, like AEW, all that shit, I think they just want to make sure I was.
Makes sense. Yeah.
And I'm just like, I don't get into my, like, in-depth conversation.
Sure. No.
But, so I thought that when I got the call, that was something having to do with that.
Okay.
And then Carano dropped it on me, that we're going to the Hall of Fame.
Yeah. Well,
so you were not expecting that?
No.
Yeah.
No.
And one of the main things too that was obviously that's a big story. One of the bigger stories too is that when China was finally going in, and like I'm sure that was, you probably went through a whole mix of emotions during that.
I was just incredibly happy about that.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah, so she deserves it as much as anyone.
It was a cool moment too, and the other thing. So
and it was great. Her mom was there, and her sister was there, and
Did you get a chance to talk with them?
I did. I couldn't fucking believe when I looked in her mom's eyes. It was like looking in her eyes.
Oh, yeah.
It was fucking like so crazy. Yeah.
And the conversation was cool and everything. Awesome. That's great.
Absolutely.
That's great.
I just, when it comes to all that and different people like, that are we're closely involved in that, and you get kind of wound up and caught up in all that. Like, it's just crazy to me at this point for anyone to be bickering back and forth in any of that.
Yeah, we get older. It's some of these things we just want. It's just
she's not here anymore, and let's come on,
respect the memory. Yeah, for sure. And one of the other cool things about the Hall of Fame too is another guy that's been so great to us, and we just did an event in Texas City is Booker T.
I know.
He's the man, dude. I love Booker, and to see Booker going in twice. I mean, that's because you guys are pretty tight, also.
We're tight, yeah. I mean, it's not like we're on the fucking phone but I'm not on the phone with anyone every day. Trust me.
Right. So
I'm still waiting for a few responses from my text messages, Sean.
Yeah. I'm the worst at that.
That's probably a good thing, though, too. I wish I could be bad at it because I'm probably not.
You didn't respond to me last night.
See, there we go. I'm getting better. I'm getting better at being
good
bad.
for you.
That's true. So, what do you think that so if you had again, because you have aspirations, whether it's NXT, what do you want for this new phase in your career? What you're doing here? What do you want to accomplish? What do you want to get done?
Oh wow! I just want to, like I've been doing with at NXT. I just want to, being part of passing that knowledge down. Making sure it's passed on to this next generation. And I should have been doing it for a while, but I just happened to be fucked up for about a dozen years. So, but now I'm here and I'm present and I'm like able to help out with that, and I'm grateful to be able to help out with that.
Do you get a chance to because Razor is still doing good, right? So Razor and Jake and all those guys. So do you get a chance to? Because I would have thought that maybe you guys do this, and I'm just don't know. I would put all you guys together and say, look. Everyone talks about the stories of the guys, the tragic stories. Look at these guys and look what they've done. Do you guys ever go and talk to anybody and have conversations? Do you get along with all three of those guys, by the way, too, or ish?
I get along with everyone.
You get along with everybody.
Yeah.
So was that something that you would do, or or you're focusing on other stuff?
I have done different things. Like I work with a drug treatment center actually, awesome. And so I've gone and done a couple of town halls with them.
Guys? Oh, that's cool. That's awesome.
And just talking to people that are desperate and don't know what the fuck to do because their kids are fucked up or they're fucked up or.
Yeah, because you look at Jake, man, when that Beyond the Mat was it Beyond the Mat when that came out, and I remember seeing. I saw it here. It was one of the first movies I saw when I moved to LA, and I saw Jake, and I was devastated because Jake was such a talent. Like Jake was so good, and I was like, fuck. And then he showed more. There was an ESPN thing on him, and then Razor too, and. So I used to do a show at Roddy back in the day with the Rod Pod. I used to co-host a lot of his shows with him, and I remember DDP came on and he said on the show that in the episode he's like, I want to find Jake, I want to help Jake, and did, and like that is so. Do you talk to DDP at all about that process too? Because isn't that
I do. And Dallas is very patient with me. He's been on my ass about coming down there, spending some time down there. At his place and getting certified in DDP yoga.
Have you thought about it?
Yeah, I have.
But just not.
Yeah, I just have a lot
of shit going on.
Yeah, and especially even if I don't, my brain fucking feels like I have a lot of shit going on all the time.
What is that?
Why? I don't know. It's just fucking. There's a lot going on in there. Like if you I don't know. I'll go off into the weeds on that.
That's cool.
But
I think with the DDP thing, it's kind of like you were saying before, whatever works for you. So right now you're doing pretty well. So
so like when talking about Scott, for instance, he'd been through a dozen treatment centers, right? Like, so it's not like he didn't already know, or me either, right? Like it's not like we didn't already know what they fucking tell you in those places.
Yeah.
So then it was just I called. I didn't know what else to do, right? Like. I was still, not as fucked up as Scott was, but I wasn't Mr. Sobriety or anything. I just knew Scott was going to die if I didn't do something. So I reached out to Dallas, and then that's how all that.
Oh
happened.
wow! Look at that. I didn't realize that you made the call. That's because I know he wanted to for so long.
They talk about it in the documentary.
Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah. Okay, good. That's great. I mean,
it's not trying to like pat myself on the back. I just know what the fuck to do.
It goes back to exactly what you said before. He's your buddy.
Yeah,
that was your buddy, and you were there for him the same way Hunter was there for you too. That's awesome. It's fantastic. One of the a little more lighter side of things too, and this is probably a generic thing you've gotten a million times, but I just wanted to know who do you think's the best on the mic all time?
Man.
You can put 3 in there, and then who you think's the best? Because Flair's got to be in there.
You know, Flair.
Roddy.
Yeah, well, Roddy, but like, okay, manager-wise, I'm a Paul Heyman guy.
Yeah, Paul's pretty good. Paul,
yes.
Paul was fantastic to me, too. Yeah, he was great. Yeah. Paul's really good. So you'd say Paul, manager all time. Bobby Heenan's got to be in there, too.
I know, and hey, look, nothing, because obviously Bobby, fucking, you know, a lot of guys, amazing, right? Yeah. But, no.
Paul.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about as far as in the ring? Who's the best in the ring all the time?
You know, depending on your taste, I mean, Brad or Sean.
Yeah, I'd probably go. I would pick one of those 2 guys for sure too. I mean, I think
I'm not going to argue with either one of them.
Yeah, because just what I remember. So I was at Nassau Coliseum in '91, and I remember my dad used to take me to the house shows all the time, and I saw Bret Hart, and he would fight all the time, and it was you were in awe of him. Of just watching what he was doing.
He went out there, and you know, you knew you were going to get like a 30-minute fucking classic match from him, right? Every night.
Whether it was televised or
not. Every
absolutely.
Single
time. He was a straight up pro, man.
What about best woman of all time in the ring?
Ooh, wow. From my era, like no one can touch Medusa, Alundra Blaze.
Oh shit, yeah, Alundra Blaze, right? Too. I was there. I mean, when I was there, Lita was kind of the one that was because she would just put her body in such great. But yeah, Blaze was pretty awesome.
No, like honestly, like wrestling, like as a wrestler, also like not just doing some spots or whatever. Yeah. Absolutely.
That's awesome.
She was All Japan Women. Like like to go over there and go through all that is insane. Insane.
No shit, you put yourself through a lot. But you're going back to I guess the Hall of Fame too, and Bret Hart there too, and Kevin Undergaro linking it all together was when that lunatic jumped in the ring, when that lunatic fan jumps in the ring and tackles Bret Hart, got the shit beat out of him, and deservedly so.
Yes,
and deservedly so. I mean, because that's the rule though for you guys in general, right? Because you've seen videos, and there was one time where Hunter was fighting Steve Austin, and some guy gets in there, and then Hunter, because the guy attacked Steve, and Hunter beat the piss out of the guy. But that's like a rule, right?
What makes you laugh so hard?
Because it's part of the rules.
Because because it's kind of I'm going to say it's embarrassing, but usually I am like really passive, and I don't even want to fucking. I barely want to swat a fly.
No, I'm looking at you with Lula, your dog, on your lap right now.
And then, something like that happens and throw all that shit out the fucking window. Yeah. Beat that guy's fucking ass.
Because that's your family.
You're goddamn right.
They're coming in your family. Because you guys are putting your bodies on the line every single day, and some guy who doesn't know what the fuck he's doing comes in.
If someone has a problem with me saying that and feeling that way, I understand.
I don't think many people will. I think some people,
that's just
maybe
fine,
here and there.
Way.
Because we did this whole thing. We had this whole debate on it that day. And I can't remember.
We talked about the legality.
We talked about the legality. And my thing was that I have to assume, and you might know this better than I do, but I have to assume that if you cross inside of that thing, it's all fair game. You won't have the right to sue. Like if you can sue anybody, but you won't win. Like if
I don't think so. Yeah,
you won't win.
Well, I mean, I just remember how it used to be.
But it's assault.
Yeah.
You're assaulting.
What do you mean you remember how it used to be?
I just remember like there weren't cameras everywhere, and a guy would jump the rail, and we beat the fuck out of him.
Right? Yeah. Because, that's again the thing is because that is full on assault. So if he's performing against Shawn Michaels and he jumps and I jump in the ring while they're doing this, this dance, this is really and. They can beat the piss
I agree with you. I just wonder
if there's legality.
Well, I feel like if there is, somebody would do that just to be able to sue. There's plenty of crazy people who would jump in the ring to get money.
Oh, you can sue, but I just don't think you'll win.
Yeah.
I just don't think it would be because you can. I think the argument, especially with the lawyers, but I'm sure that Bret Hart and WWE's lawyers are a little better than Schmuck.
And also, even though you can see a couple guys get shots in, it's like. it's hard to really tell like
Right.
whose shot did what damage. So it's like, good luck with that.
Everybody was like, first of all, it's
Bret Hart.
It's a fucking
Get the fuck
legend,
outta
man.
here.
Get out of here. Yeah, for sure. I can't imagine what it was like back there to where, especially another reason why it's because it's supposed to be celebrating. It's right before WrestleMania. You have this big thing, and here's this putz who jumps in the ring and tries to do this thing. So it's like, I'm sure it was also probably that type of joke to where like, yeah, Brett's okay. Yeah, we beat the piss out of that guy. That's kind of what it came down to. But how was WrestleMania this year as far as the other side of just kind of being there? It's always an extravaganza, honestly. But
I got so fucking sick, man.
yeah, oh, did you? Oh, okay.
Yeah, we did our WrestleMania segment, come out on stage, that big old thing, and after that I got out of there because I didn't want to get anyone sick. Like I ended up having to stay an extra day because I was like had fucking pneumonia.
Oh, just hold up in your hotel.
Yeah.
Oh fuck.
Yeah, but no, I mean, man, those fucking things are so long, Christian.
I'm glad you brought that up.
Fuck, man.
I'm glad you brought that up because here was my problem this year with this year's WrestleMania because there were so many great marquee matches up, right?
Yeah.
So the Brock and Seth thing happens first, and that was, Brock wanted a different spot or whatever. So he comes in, they starts off big. There's a lot of energy there, but by the time you get to Ronda and Becky and Charlotte, the audience is exhausted.
Just done. Yeah.
Because I remember back in the day, WrestleMania 4 would be, it's still longer, but
it would be 3 hours.
It's it. And you can handle 3.5, right? 6, 7 hours. Is there any talk about them cutting it down or maybe even doing some more
if there is, I haven't heard it.
Yeah, I heard it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because isn't that a problem? Because
trying to figure out how to make it longer, I think. I don't know. I don't understand it.
Yeah. I don't understand it either because it's like, couldn't they tell that the energy was just kind of sucked out of the room by the time they got to the main event? They knew, they did feel that.
I think they just want to give everybody their due, right? They want to make sure that everybody has their stage and the biggest stage that there is.
And so it was incredibly important for the women to actually go on last.
Yes.
But yeah, the people were spent by the time they got out there. But it was still like, I think they did a great job. I think, honestly, to me, like the match and even later on after the people were fatigued, the match that people really brought it was Kofi. And Daniel.
Yeah, and that had the energy, and I think that was the one that kind of
sucked the air out of the place.
Yeah, because it was this big, huge accomplishment from this guy that should have had it like maybe years ago, right? That earned his spot, and that's the thing. And that's where Roxy and I talked about this last time. My thing is like, and back in the day, like you would have to earn your spot in WrestleMania.
Right.
So it's like now everybody gets a spot. And it's like I think there's something special about the fact that like, look, no, this year we've got X amount of matches, 3.5. You didn't make it this year, kid. You're going to do it next year. Yeah, that's it.
It's kind of like if you look at the NXT TakeOver shows, there's 5 matches.
Right.
And there's way more people on the roster. It's just like, look, there's 5 matches. If the show is going to be this long, and it's perfect that way.
This is
and
the
we're
story
not
we're
fucking
telling.
with it.
This is the
if
story
you want to
we're
be
telling.
on the show, work
Right.
your ass off to get on the fucking show.
Right. And
we're not going to have a battle royal or a fucking
throwaway match because you're a
10-man
star.
tag or some shit. No, work your ass off and fucking get on the main show.
Yeah, and I just wish that would transfer over to WrestleMania because it's like it's one of those things you want because that's what everyone always talks about. Every single time this big main takeover is always the one. Takeover is always the one that people say, yeah, WrestleMania was fine, but did you see NXT last night? Every time, from the second I started to come back to watch this thing, NXT was because of what you're saying. It's like earn the spot. Is there any chance? Is it just because they want to fill more spots for whether it's advertising, and is that part of it too?
Also, like people work all year, and it's kind of like throw them a bone. Hey, okay, you get to be a part of WrestleMania,
Right.
so I get it. I remember I was in a match like that when I first came there in '94 WrestleMania 10.
Yeah.
And the Sean
MSG, right?
Yeah, Sean and Razor ladder match.
Yeah.
It went long.
Yeah, it did.
And our match was on right after that. It was a 10-man tag, and I didn't understand at the time that was a throwaway match, collapsible match. Like, if they have time issues, they just match isn't go. Like, so I was ready to go out, and they were like, "Oh no, your match is canceled."
Right, and they don't do that anymore, though. Right?
Does that crush you when that happens?
I did at the time,
right.
and I still got paid.
Right.
Same amount of money I was going to get paid, but
it's WrestleMania.
Yeah.
You want to get that spot, but that's
and the wife is up in the crowd waiting
of course.
for her
It's
to
10
come
years.
out, and she's like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah, 10 years after from was that 95, 94?
Yeah.
So you're doing it at that point. But again, they made that decision to do it. I think, and I'm sure you think so too. At the time, it's the right call to make.
The right time,
but they don't make that call anymore. And it's it's one of the, and the other thing I got to bring up too. And
also, they don't. It's pretty much everything's on the network. There's no like pay-per-view, like, okay, we only have 3 hours of satellite time. Right. We got to get it, we got to get the finish on before they go off air. We're going to have to give them refund.
Right.
It's not that kind of thing anymore.
They can make a 9-hour event. Yeah. It's their fucking network. Yeah, and I think that's probably a good thing and a bad thing. Because of that, because it can go for so long, probably the way that they would say it is, well, they can pause it. They can come back.
I look at it like, okay, it's like a la carte. Okay, let me just decide which
matches I want to watch.
I want to watch.
Yeah, and I don't know. I just look at it kind of old school to where it's basically what you were saying. 5 matches in. I want give me a narrative from the second it starts because and I always bring back the old ones. Like even when and I brought up, it's probably the 5th time today with WrestleMania 4 was the tournament. It was the whole thing was the tournament, but you knew there was a story up top where Hogan and Andre were so early on. Is that what's going to happen there? But the narrative was savage from the whole way through, fighting 4 matches the entire night. That was the narrative.
Oh, 4. WrestleMania, or talk about the tournament.
The tournament, yes, because it was in Atlantic City, and it was like you didn't know who was going to win. You kind of thought because he had just gone babyface not too long ago, but there was that narrative from the beginning to the end. It was all about Savage and then teaming up with Hogan to eventually form kind of the mega powers and watch Hogan pull a heel move and hit DiBiase with the chair. It's like there was from the start to finish, and with this WrestleMania that I saw, there's some characters, but there's no narrative in between. I think that's one of the things that NXT has that it doesn't have.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And, people will state the obvious. Well, it's a lot easier to do that with a 1-hour show every week.
True. Rox?
I'm just listening to you guys geek out over wrestling. Still learning. Honestly, I've learned anything I know about wrestling, and I'm so proud of myself now is because of Sean.
Aww.
Just listening to all that. And Kathy Kelly, you guys go back and forth. I'm like, okay, now I can hang.
Oh, I remember when I first met Rox, and I'd be like doing Tomorrow's Show, and Kevin would just start, going off, and we'd go on a fucking 20-minute rant. Oh, I could see Rox over there. I'm like, oh, fuck.
But then I got into it after.
I don't blame you.
No, I really. And then when Sean, I went and saw your show with Ron Funches. Which was great too. They go down like a crazy wrestling rabbit hole on that and started listening to 1, 2, 3, 60.
We did one at StarCast in Vegas a couple weeks ago.
Right.
Yeah, it was great. Mike Lawrence sat in
really
with us.
Cool. Well, what are you doing beside me? Because you still working? You still work with Kevin and stuff too?
Yeah, still my show over there.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So tell the audience. So where can they find your show? What's the show and where can they find it? Is it over on AfterBuzz?
AfterBuzz.
Okay.
Yeah, but I'm actually on my own YouTube channel, just YouTube/X-Pac, and. The show's called X-Pac 12360. It's like my 3rd year going on.
So awesome.
Thanks.
He does the best job with the show.
Really
I'm just having a good time with it, and I've been grateful for it. Like it's given me something to like. I don't think I've missed in 3 years. I didn't miss a show.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
you just kind of find a love for it, right? Yeah, that's really cool.
And so it's over there, and so you could watch it on YouTube, and you could pick it up. But it's on like 12 different fucking
Yeah. You find
we
it.
still have
platforms.
We still have to get you better at Instagram, though, Sean. Because
I'm working on it.
I know.
My girlfriend's a big. I mean, she's busy as fuck. She has her own career that she's fucking boss at. Like, my girlfriend's a writer. She's actually like the
screenwriter. A screenwriter.
She's the co-EP of the new sitcom Mixed Dish that's a spin-off of Blackish.
Yeah, sure.
Oh, that's I didn't know you talked about having a girlfriend on air. Yay!
Yeah,
awesome.
she wrote
Sean,
Scrubs for 7 years. She's a fucking
Get out of here. Where'd you guys meet?
On Twitter.
Oh, did you really? See, look, he's using social media well.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
On Twitter, he's great. It's just Instagram. I want to see what's happening more often.
She helped me with that because she started a thing called OK Player with Questlove from The Roots.
Yeah, sure.
Which was like this big social media thing before really social media even existed. And she's helped me get that up to speed.
That's awesome.
Michael Klaus a little bit. From,
Yeah.
anyways.
Yeah, it's funny. We have so many connections, obviously, through because Kevin actually. So when we were doing our show, we started with when we were doing Adam Carolla's thing,
Yeah.
right? So as we were on, that's when I met Roddy over at Toad Hop and was doing all that stuff. And then once that went away, I was looking for a studio, and Kevin and I became involved, and he generously kind of put his studio. It was the house, the house that they have over there.
Yeah.
And we
I
kind of
lived
built
there.
Is that where you lived?
That's when I converted to the house.
Oh,
after
funny!
that,
That's where the Schmodown began. It began in that studio. It began in that studio so we're all linked. That's how I met Rox.
Yeah.
That's kind of how we're all linked to it. So it's cool to kind of catch up with you again, brother. For
Yeah,
sure.
so like my show, the thing I'm really honestly most proud of with it is that like I've used it to Christy Olsen, she got a job at NXT. She was there.
Christy St. Cloud.
Yeah, she was called Christy St. Cloud there.
Johnny LaQuasto's
Johnny
over there, too.
LaQuasto's there
Yeah.
now. Like when I was just there.
John Quasto.
When I was just there was
that who he is?
LaQuasto, Mark Donica.
Yeah.
Kathy Kelly.
Yeah.
Smiley.
Fucking
was
Thea
over there.
Trinidad.
Yeah, Thea Trinidad.
All of them were down there, and
That's
it was
so
really
crazy.
cool. Yeah.
That's really cool. Good transition. Listen, you got to come back again. We can't do another 20 years.
Okay.
We can't do another 20
Yeah,
years.
man.
Sean Waltman, A.K.A. X-Pac.
Hey, man, and I'm just like huge fucking props to you for building all this, man. This is
thanks,
great.
brother. I appreciate it very much.
It's fun. It's fun to I don't watch a ton of shit, but I see some of it. And
I
it's
appreciate
fun.
it. Thanks, man.
Yeah,
I
you
really
got a lot of
appreciate
big
it.
heavy hitters coming through.
Anytime
We
you
do-
text me about it, I'm like, Sean was watching
Yeah.
our
Yeah,
show.
it's
Yeah, I
cool.
watch.
Oh, it's good,
Yeah.
man. Well, good.
So
I'm
cool.
glad to have you on. And
I'm a
definitely
big
get you
fan
back
of
on.
Roxy Stryer
As
too.
you should
So
be.
anything
I
she's
love
on,
you,
I like
As you
to
should
watch.
be.
Oh,
I am too.
She's a
I am
fucking
too.
superstar.
I said earlier, I was sitting there, I said, somebody compliment me. And that's
You
the
knew he did
compliment
it.
I needed for the
Goddamn
day.
right.